Hey, Metagross Freak here, and I want to talk about Pokemon the Movie, Pikachu, I Choose You. Obviously, since I'd get in trouble for copyright issues, I'm not going to show any screenshots or clips, but I have a Sylveon headband, so close enough. Um, I thought it was a pretty decent movie. I mean, there have been Pokemon movies that have been pretty cringy. I'm looking at you, Keldeo movie, or even the Arceus movie and the Mewtwo Genesect movie. There have been some pretty kind of meh Pokemon movies. This was an interesting movie because it plays off the idea of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon being basically the same story but a parallel universe. People who've been in the Pokemon fandom for a long time know the story of Ash waking up late, there not being any starters left. He gets Pikachu. His first Pokemon's a Caterpie. It evolves into Butterfree, which he releases to go breed. He finds the Charmander that's dying in the rain. He saves it. It evolves into Charizard. It's seeing the Ho-Oh and getting some kind of magical, luck, I guess. All of that is the same. What's different is that, of course, we don't really see any of Ash's other Pokemon. Literally, we only see him with Pikachu, Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree, and Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard. So it's kind of interesting. Um, Another thing, of course, what's also different is instead of having Misty as the water type gym leader, a water type trainer who's clearly more experienced, but is following Ash along because she, likes him personality wise or romantically likes him. And then we have, of course, Brock as the, you know, very experienced trainer who's a doctor. In this movie, we have two trainers whose names are very forgettable. In that literally the movie was done, and I went, what were their names again? Um, Again, we have the girl, who is actually a really cool character. I like her personality. I like her design. Like the strap of her bag has a bow on it, which is kind of cool. But like it lines up perfectly, so it looks like it's part of the strap. And she's got kind of a cute little hairstyle. Um, she's got a Piplup who, for some reason, just doesn't evolve. I don't really know why. Apparently, her mom is like a really powerful water type trainer in the Sinnoh region, so it'd be kind of interesting to see who that is. Um, I think it'd been really funny if when we see like when we see what the mom kind of looks like, if she resembled Dawn, either resembled to Dawn or resembled to Joanna, because that would kind of have some wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff going on. Um, but yeah, she's got a Piplup that never evolves, and she's got a Lapras, which is a good nod to the Gen 1 fans, because just Lapras is a fan favorite. Um, the other trainer, the one who's basically replacing Brock, is still basically a Pokemon doctor in training, but instead of having like a Geodude and an Onix and a Vulpix and stuff, instead he has a Lucario, which is actually really cool. Lucario again being a fan favorite. He doesn't really use his Lucario as much. Like I think he only uses it like 2 times to actually fight, and it's like use Aura Sphere. Okay, thanks. Use Aura Sphere again. Thanks. It's but he's different from Brock because instead of being girl crazy, he I guess just doesn't have emotions because as we find out in a flashback, he had a Luxray that took care of him and it died saving his life. And it's a really kind of cute flashback. I was watching this on my couch and I was just like, Pokemon movie, why are you making me feel for this character I don't know? Um, so it was interesting. It was interesting. I kind of liked both of the new characters, and I kind of wish we could see more of them, even if it was just like a one-off thing. But I get that this is supposed to be like a retelling, in a way, of the Indigo journeys. Um, it's almost kind of like I kind of wish this movie was canon to the anime universe, but I also am kind of glad that it's not, because it's a good retelling, I admit, and it's a good way of condensing the Indigo League, or at least the first season of the Indigo League, into about an hour and a half. Um, and of course, then we just have the MacGuffin being the Rainbow Wing. Of course, there weren't items in the first, like, there were hold items in the first generation, but the Rainbow Wing has always been kind of starting around Gen 3, 4 has always been kind of related to Ho-Oh. Surprisingly enough, the Rainbow Wing actually first originated from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue Rescue Teams, where it was basically the item you needed to go fight Ho-Oh. When you visited, I believe when you befriended or fought each of the three legendary, I'm pretty sure it was the legendary birds in that game. It was really weird. You would it would change color, and then when you have fought all three, you'd have the Rainbow Wing, which would give you the power to go challenge Ho-Oh. I did that quest, but literally I only did that quest because you have to either defeat or befriend Ho-Oh in order to unlock the cave that lets you challenge and try to befriend Deoxys. And I got Deoxys, and I was like, this is cool. And then I was just like, well, I have the one Pokemon I wanted, because that was back in Gen 3, so I haven't gone back. So it's kind of cool that they brought back the Rainbow Wing, because it's been kind of part of Pokemon lore, and I'm glad they incorporated it finally into part of the anime that it was actually like used for plot. I thought the changing up of how Ash's Charizard worked was pretty good. You know, the whole Charmeleon Charizard not obeying Ash in the TV series got old really fast. Like, it made sense, but then they kind of just kept going with it because it was the whole, Ash wasn't strong enough for Charizard to respect it, and Charizard also just had a really big ego. So those two things were contributing to Charizard not following Ash's orders. In this movie, it's like, yay, Charmander, you evolved. I'm so happy for you because we got stronger together. I liked that. And the evolution from Charmeleon into Charizard was kind of half-assed, but I mean, I get why they did it. It was pretty. It was pretty cool. It made sense, especially considering he was fighting an Incineroar, which I'm so glad they included Incineroar and Lycanroc Dusk. It was a good way of pulling the newer fans into this movie that was obviously meant as to be like a love letter for the older fans. So last two things I guess I will mention are the really stupid scene and the stupid inclusion of a character. If you haven't seen the movie, this is going to be a massive spoiler. But so keep that in mind. If you have seen the movie, you probably know what scene I'm talking about, and that is, I'll give you a pause to leave if you want to, the death of Ash. I guess because similar to, it was so dumb. I literally had to pause the movie, and I was laughing my ass off for a good solid minute because it was so contrived, and then it didn't even matter because they instantly brought him back. Like, at least with Pokemon the first movie, when Ash died, he was dead. Like, he was a stone cold statue. And then they did the whole crying thing to bring him back. That was obviously a MacGuffin. But this movie, like, 50 million Pokemon all use their most powerful moves at one time. Pikachu does the whole Spearow jump to save him, and then fails because Pikachu was pretty much exhausted from the battle anyway. And then Ash, like, doubles over to save Pikachu, which is really sweet, instantly dies, and then instantly turns into a ghost. And then they have this really weird scene with Ash running through the field of flowers that we see at the beginning of the movie. And then there's this portal that opens, and Pikachu jumps through the portal, hugs Ash, and then they somehow both, while standing still, exit the portal. It Why? Why? Um, the whole scene felt really, really dumb, and I did not feel anything. I was for Ash. I was just like, really? They're killing him off? I mean, it was a good nod to the first movie, but it felt like it wasn't necessary. Um, and they could have easily just like had Ash. I mean, it would have been stupid, but they could have easily just had Ash be knocked out. Pikachu like shaking Ash, and then doing the whole, Pikachu, why? And then like, or like doing just like a hug, and then Pikachu be like, oh, "You're alive!" That kind of thing. So that was really stupid, and the stupid inclusion of a character, and that character was Marshadow. Marshadow had no purpose being in that movie except to cause drama. Supposedly, according to the old man living on the mountain, who I'm like 99% sure is supposed to be Red, like just a reference to Red standing on the mountain for all time at the end of Gold, Silver, Crystal. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a shout out for Red. It was kind of obvious based on the hat and the red shirt vest, whatever. Um, but according to that old man, like Marshadow supposedly has been stalking Ash this whole movie because Marshadow is supposed to like preside over summoning Ho-Oh, and that like the he's supposed to like protect. Basically, if the Heart of Darkness gets the Rainbow Wing, it's supposed to quote unquote make things right. But it's never really explained what that means. The two times that Marshadow really has an impact on the anime is when the wing is evil. The first, when we have the whole, the first time was when Charmeleon lost, and Ash was like, "If I had used Pikachu, we would have won." And then, like, the girl, Water Girl, is just like, "What if Charmeleon hurt you?" It's just like, well, I mean, you're probably right. If you had used Pikachu, Ash, you would have won. And then Pikachu just kind of ditching Ash for 5 minutes, which was kind of weird. But Ash going into his weird bad dream coma, the wing turns evil, but because Marshadow touched Ash, if Ash hadn't been touched by Marshadow, it would have been fine. But Marshadow like touched him, the wing turned evil, and he went into like a weird coma. And then when he came out of the coma, it went back to being good. That was weird. I think that's all they should have done with Marshadow. We should have just kept watching, and then they summon Ho-Oh when the movie ends. At the end, I mean. Instead, it was like, Cross, which, by the way, Cross is a lame name for a rival, but, I mean, I guess it's not as bad as Trip. Because we all remember in Unova, he had a rival named Trip. Cross gets the wing because he's a selfish asshole, and it turns evil, and for some reason, the evil wing somehow corrupts Marshadow, which not only turns Marshadow shiny, which I thought was kind of cool, it was a good nod to it, turns Marshadow shiny, but for some reason then Marshadow takes over the minds of all the Pokemon in the area. That power really never made sense. That doesn't make sense to me, considering that that's not how Marshadow works. I don't know, I felt that if they hadn't included Marshadow in the movie, it would have been perfectly fine. Including Marshadow just seemed like a giant Chekhov's gun. It was just a giant Chekhov's gun that really didn't go anywhere because the final scene against Marshadow didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Um, and so I mentioned the stupid scene with Ash dying. I mentioned the stupid inclusion of the character, Marshadow. So now I guess we'll talk about the scene that everyone is having a big hoopla about. And that is, of course, the Pikachu talking scene. I don't see what the big deal of it is. I know a lot of people are like, Pikachu shouldn't talk. Are you guys forgetting the Island of Giant Pokemon? Because in the English dub, the Pokemon, Ash's Pokemon were talking to each other, and we had subtitles. They were talking to each other in their names, but we had the subtitles. In the Japanese dub, they were talking in Japanese. There was no subtitles going on at all. So I don't really understand why this is a new thing. Not only that, but the Pokemon Company did send out the whole tweet about basically them being so in sync that Ash could like basically feel Pikachu's soul. So Pikachu was not talking. Those were not words coming out of Pikachu's mouth. Pikachu was saying Pika Pika Pikachu Choo whatever, and Ash, because their souls were connected, was able to understand. Um, and this is also, I guess, why in this movie Pikachu sounds like a girl, despite being confirmed for like 21 years now as being a boy. Um, so yeah, that is essentially my view of the scene. Is it's to me, I think it's great because I think it's great. You know, it makes sense that Pikachu could talk. You know, and even if the Pokemon Company hadn't said that, it was a really emotional scene. So it makes sense that Ash would have some kind of supernatural telekinetic ability to read Pikachu's soul. I That doesn't bother me, and I think it was kind of a good callback, and I think it was just a really good emotional scene. That to me was more emotional than the Ash dying thing. I don't think the dying thing should have been included. So, I mean, we're on 16 and a half minutes now. So, I mean, that was pretty much my thoughts on Pokemon the movie. Pikachu, I Choose You. It had some good legendary inclusion in it. Like, we hear a little bit more about the Johto Brass Tower with the three legendary beasts. We get to see Ho-Oh. We get to see... Oh, that's right. We didn't get to see Mew. I was thinking of the anime. The anime... Um, the anime is doing the 2 or 3 episodes where they go back to Kanto, and we see Mew for like 3 seconds at the end of the first episode. So got my wires a little crossed there. But we get to see the 3 legendary beasts. We get to see Ho-Oh. We get to see Marshadow for some reason. And there was a lot of nostalgia. I liked the movie. I think it's definitely worth watching if you're a Pokemon fan. And I'm going to take this off now because it's making me feel ridiculous. I got this for a Halloween costume and nobody knew who I was except for little kids. So anyway, until next time, I've been Metagross Freak, and if you have a different opinion or view of this movie, leave it in the comments below because I'd love to hear what you have to say. So, thank you again, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.